So I made the new UI design for the feature. And the unique thing about this feature is the exquisite taste of the user experience we're trying to give the user here. So there's a lot of animations happening in the experience. We're trying to make the user see and feel everything happening in the app. For the animation of storyboards from pages to page. How about the page transition I created a couple of weeks ago? Yes, the one you created 2 weeks ago, the movement from left to right. So the design team thought it would be inappropriate for us to continue using that. So we created this wobbly transition from one page to another, so we could give the user this fun experience around the app. So to achieve the animation seamlessly, the design team thinks you should be using the native codes to write the app this time around. Here I can see a button entirely different from what we've been using on the app. So you're asking me to create a new class. Yes, I was about to get to the button. So this time around we decided to do a gradient kind of feel around the button. And whenever you hit or click a button, you get this pulsy kind of feel. So that's pretty much all we hope to achieve in the design. And we know it's not exactly too much, so they would be expecting you to deliver in about 1 to 2 weeks. I can't take this anymore. Hello HR. Yeah, I called about the head of the design team. Please, can you get rid of him for me? Yeah, I think I kind of got rid of him, but then I'm not sure he passed out well enough to never work at the company anymore. No, you can't get rid of him. But I said, please, I'm the deaf god. You respect my requests.
Court arise. The case before us today is that of a software engineer that got rid of his colleague, a UI UX designer. Presiding over this case today is the chief judge of all compilers, the chief judge of the computer itself, the founding father of the founding fathers of Fortran, Java, Swift, Python, Go, Rust, and many more, the dev god.
So today I'll be presiding over the case of a UI UX designer who frustrated a developer out of his ambiguous design requirements. So yeah, as the dev god, I'll be looking into this and be giving you 5 tips that can help you avoid a designer-developer rift, both as a developer and as a designer. And I'll try so much not to be biased as a god in software engineering. So let's start. First of all, tip number 1, this goes to the software engineer. Pick your demon and deal with it. If you're part of a large development team, you find out that most times, before a project starts, they get to do team shuffle. You get to decide who will be working on the app or the web or whatever software we're trying to build here, who exactly will be doing the designs and all of that. So yeah, but pick your demon and decide to stick to it. This is what I mean. Find one designer that you'll be consistent with and try to work with him most of the times. So the thing about designers is most of them have a way in which they design their buttons. Most of them have a way in which they like the background, the feel of the background to be. Most of them have a way in which they design their navigation headers. So if you can pick a designer and stick to that guy alone, most times their buttons don't change, except if you move from one designer across to another. That's when you get to design different set of buttons. So for a project, you get to pick a designer, get to work with him. Yes, he's going to bring up so many things for you to do. He's going to bring up so many demands for you to meet. But yeah, just go ahead and meet them. The next project, if you can have your pick the same designer again. Because since you're used to working with him, you could just simply copy codes from the first project because his buttons will most likely look the same, except this time with a different color or a different feel. You could just copy his navigation header because this time around it will almost look the same. Compared to you working with a new designer that is going to bring in new requirements, new design, and everything is going to be entirely new. And so you have to start working from scratch again. So tip number 1, if you have your pick, try to stick to using one designer in your team so that you could reuse your code instead of writing a fresh code for every new feature. Tip number 2, this goes to the designer. Really think about the extra rectangle you're adding to the end of the triangle. That's the padding of the text inside of the button. They're supposed to be centrally aligned to the right. Really think about it before you add it, because most times all the user is just going to do in the app or in the web application is scroll up and scroll down. And that actually took the developer 2 days to create. And the user only gets to interact with it once, in fact, for just 1 second. So really think about it. This feature, it is I'm including. How, with all of its whole complexity, how does it improve the design itself entirely? Is this something that can be done in a less time expensive way and still achieve the feature of a better user experience? Because most times I've had to develop apps and then spend so much time on this widget, and when they give it to the user to test, he just scrolls. And I'm like, chill, hold on. It took me 2 years to design that. You need to spend more time on it. But then the user is just on the app to get what he needs to do and nothing more. So all of the fancy buttons, the flying animations, the right, left, center padding to the right, centered horizontally in the vertical position, all doesn't matter. So before you go the extra mile as a designer, really think about it. Is this worth it? Is this something the user would get to see? Is this something that will improve the general user experience? Is this something we use for more than 1 second and all of that before you decide to disturb the software engineer? This third tip goes to the software engineer. Yes, I know you're a software engineer, but then you don't even talk to compilers better than I do. And you know the app cannot be all codes, right? The user cannot interact with codes. There needs to be a nice user interface around it. So yeah, all of the project is not centered around you just bringing nice codes, nice business logic. At some point, the user needs a very nice user interface to interact with. And that is why the designer gets paid to do his job. The codes are a whole lot of work to write. Getting the buttons to work and do the right thing behind the scenes is a whole lot of work compared to designing the button. But yes, the app user is never going to interact with just the codes. He needs a very nice UI design. So UI designs are very essential. That's essential, as essential, as essential. No, the designs are essential as the code, maybe not as essential. Yes, not as essential, but they are essential as the code here. The fourth tip goes to both the designer and the software engineer. I remember reading this article on Medium that says the designer is concerned about the user and the developer is concerned about the computer. But at some point, both ICE and Steam have to meet for the app to come to place. Who's Steam? Obviously, the software engineer. No bias. But yes, the software engineer is the Steam. So they both have to meet at some point. So yeah, both parties should be ready to reach compromise. It's not just standard that a designer gets to design the app and never gets to change the designs. Who said that? In fact, the dev god is presiding over this case and he says, you can have to change it. So yeah, just generally, this is what I'm saying. Both the software engineer and the designer need to be able to reach a compromise. There are times when the designer makes a design that generally affects the functionality of the app. It's your responsibility as a software engineer to work up the design and try to discuss how you can make it better. Take for instance, if the app is not designed in a native language and then you're using either React or Flutter to design a mobile app, for instance, they actually do not perform so well in heavy animations compared to writing native codes in Android, Java, or Kotlin, or iOS, Swift. So yeah, if the company has built the entire app on Flutter and the UI UX designer brings in a new design so heavy on animation that the Flutter app is not rendering perfectly well, I think both parties should meet, and then in that case, the Steam should melt the ice. Yes, the Steam should melt the ice. Now, to the fifth and most important point. If you've not been listening all the way through in this video, this is the most important point here. So, can I have your ears? Now, drum roll. Now, to the fifth and most important point. Both the developers and the designers need a DevWays t-shirt. That makes you a 10-time developer. That makes you a 10-time designer. Or else this rift will always happen. I would always have to preside over cases of a developer that just killed Steam, that just melted an ice. But then, if both of you get a DevWays t-shirt, both end up being 10 times developers and 10 times designers. And the world becomes a better place. And maybe you can end up being like the devil. Peace out. And that's all for this video. So yeah, I hope you really understand the tips. So do well to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification so you never miss my videos. If you like the t-shirts I'm wearing, you can check out our website at Dev Arena. And also, at Dev Arena, There's always a comment section under all of my articles and posts and videos. So yeah, if you're a software engineer, what are you doing right now? Still watching this video? No. Create a new tab and go to Dev Arena. Peace out. Yeah, I'm a lawyer. I get to pack my books out of the courtroom.